Okay, so it's Wednesday night, and I just watched the new South Park. I put out a vlog earlier today, but I'm gonna do another one for tomorrow because fuck it, why not? So this was the Hobbit episode, and I've been following this season. It's funny I have a weird relationship with South Park. I love this show. I've loved it since the beginning. I followed it since it first came out, and I don't. It takes me a while before I always remember, like, when I'm on a kick with the show, that it really is, like, probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It just takes me a while before I'm like, oh yeah, I love this show. I'm always in and out with it in terms of, like, when episodes are airing. But I was following this season pretty closely with the Black Friday trilogy and all that. And I was really looking forward to this episode tonight in particular when I found out it was about, or it was fully focused on Wendy. I used to be kind of just like, oh, Wendy, whatever, she's a character, okay, when I watched the show as a kid. And then when I went to college, in my first year, the List episode aired, and I was just like, oh my god, I love this show. Like, I really do. I was just, like, fully reminded of it, and that was kind of the moment where I started to, like, really appreciate, like, the sophistication of, like, you know, sophistication, I'm putting that in air quotes, but you know what I mean, like, the kind of the deeper shit that goes into South Park, and I was really looking into, like, a lot of the stuff that Trey and Matt put into it, and it was just starting to speak to me more, and I really liked it. And after I saw that one, and after I saw the breast cancer show ever, I really started to like Wendy a lot as a character. In fact, I think outside of the four boys, I think that she's probably my favorite character in the show. So I was really excited about this episode, and I liked it. This is different from, just before anybody jumps down my throat with this one, this is different from the Frozen review that I did a couple days ago, where it was like, I thought it was good, but I didn't enjoy it. In this case, I enjoyed it, and I liked it. I didn't understand the moral. So this is, today's episode of Kirblog is me questioning what the hell that was, and people calling me out for it, because I have no idea what, I wasn't sure what to take away from that. So for those of you who haven't seen it, just a brief recap. It's basically about how there's a fat girl, little ugly girl who's part of the cheerleading class, and Wendy's trying to kind of help her out with, you know, her image and you know, her self-confidence and whatnot, and then but she tries to hook the girl up with Butters, and Butters is like, oh, she's fat, no, I don't like her, I'm not into her. And he's like, oh, I like Kim Kardashian because she's hot. And Wendy's like, oh, well, Kim Kardashian is just all Photoshop. She's all a fake woman. She's actually gross in real life. And then she Photoshops a picture of the fat girl to make her look really beautiful. And then Butters is like, oh, now I'm attracted to her. Now I'm going to go do this and that, etc. And then all the girls end up making Photoshop versions of themselves. And Wendy is, like, defending that, like, this is all fake. And this is, like, you know, corrupting girls into thinking that, like, they're supposed to look a certain way and etc., and that they're not confident in themselves. And all the way everybody's just kind of like, oh, you're a hater, oh, you're jealous, oh, you're this and that. And then the episode ends with after Kanye West telling her a story about how Kim Kardashian just wanted to be pretty, and how haters gonna hate and blah blah blah. The episode ends with Wendy making a photoshopped image of herself, crying, and then she shuts the door, and that's the end of the episode. So as I was watching the episode, what I was kind of taking away from it was two different things of what was going on with Wendy. On one hand, I was seeing where she was coming from. I got her point, and I got that she was, like, it was being misconstrued and etc. But at the same time, that, like, she was being called out for something that she was doing wrong and trying to make that point, and that she was getting reamed for it. And I got the opposite perspective. Was like, oh, you're just being a hater, and, you know, you got to go to jelly school because you're being jelly, blah blah blah, etc. So I got both sides of that, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting message. I think I get where that's going. And even up to the Kanye West thing, I don't know shit about celebrities. I got enough of what was going on with Kanye and the Kim Kardashian thing that, like, I understood what the deal was with that, and it was funny. But because I don't really understand celebrity shit and I don't really care, I don't know if necessarily there was something about that aspect that I missed, that I didn't understand, because I don't really follow that stuff. But I'm not going to assume that that's it, because, like, clearly they have to write these episodes in a way that, like, it's understandable to people just from face value, and not expecting them to know everything about everything. You know, I trust them on that, so I'm sure that's not necessarily what the deal is with it. But That aside, so the scene before the last is like Wendy's in bed, and then Kanye West comes into her house and he is reading her like this kind of mishmashed version of the Hobbit story about about Kim Kardashian wanting to be as pretty and great as Beyonce, and she can't, so she used Photoshop to make herself pretty and blah blah blah, etc. And how the hater, the jelly monster, took that all away from her and made her all miserable, and etc. And then Wendy apologizes for being a hater, and I'm like, okay, even though I still kind of agree with where she was coming from about how the Photoshop thing is stupid, her being mean about it and kind of that side of it coming through was worth apologizing over. So it's like, okay, that makes sense that she should say that. So I'm like, all right, I'm digging it. And then the very last scene where she's doing the Photoshop version of herself, prior to that, with Stan is asking her like, hey, all the girls like are making Photoshop versions of themselves, and all the guys are showing each other their pictures of their hot girls and everything. It's like, could you do that? And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that because my imperfections are part of who I am, and I'm not going to change that. I'm like, yeah, okay, because it's like, Stan, that's a shitty thing to do. What the fuck, dude? But by the end of the episode, Wendy does that, and I'm just like, wait, so she's not sticking to her guns? Like, because on one hand, it's like, hey, okay, cool, she apologized because she was right to take responsibility for the fact that some of the bad side of that and the hateful, spiteful side of that was was coming through. It's like, all right, but conforming to what it was that she was trying to fight against at the end, it's like, wait, so why? Like that was the part. The very last shot of this episode is what confuses me. And if you're listening to this, hopefully by the time that this video is put up, the episode is probably on the South Park website, or maybe you watched it last night or whatever. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what is the message behind this? And maybe the reality is I'm just like reading too far into it. I mean, like, because I've like read a lot of interviews. I've listened to a lot of interviews and stuff with Trey and Matt, and like, listen to a lot of commentaries and stuff. I understand that they don't take themselves like super seriously. So I'm not trying to like read like so like deep and like what's the meaning behind this one shot, or like all like artistically or whatever the fuck. But they do always have like pretty strong morals and like good ideas behind what they're doing. So I don't know, maybe this last shot with Wendy like conforming and doing the whole Photoshop thing is like it's meant to just be like it's a joke, because it's done very like over dramatic, or she's like kind of like a single tear like drips down her face and etc. And I'm like, okay, So maybe it's just meant to be like a gag, and it's like, okay, I could get that, but I don't know. But I feel like maybe there's meant to be something else behind that, and I'm just not getting it. I don't know. It's interesting too, because like I'm kind of annoyed by like social activist kind of shit on Tumblr. Not specifically like, because Wendy's a feminist character, not specifically feminist stuff, but I'm just like whenever I see like big long ass like text walls about fucking social activist shit on Tumblr, I'm just like, shut up, like who cares, But I know that people care, and I understand that, and I can respect that, but I don't care, and it annoys me, so I tend to just kind of stay away from it. But it's weird because Wendy's the type of character that would do that, and I like her. Maybe it's because like she's executed in the show in a like the writing executes her in a way that like it's like, yeah, like I see your point, and it's not just like rambling and whining or whatever. But this episode was in a case where she was whining, and I wasn't off put by that, because part of me was like seeing where she was coming from. The other part of me was like, okay, but I see why the kids are and everybody else are where they're coming from, and why they're being like, yo, stop being a hater, stop being jelly, etc. So the message behind that is good, and it makes sense, but it's the ending of it that I'm just like, wait, what? I don't get it. Like, is she conforming because she's like, you know what, fuck it, I should just stop being like a whiner, and I should just do what everybody else is doing. It's not really hurting anybody. It's just, it'll make my life a lot easier. Like, I kind of understand why sometimes it's just like, it's easy to just do that, but I don't know. It's see, I don't want to be like, that doesn't make sense for Wendy's character. They totally wrote around like it. I trust, obviously, the people making the show know exactly what each character would do, so I'm sure that there's a reason why she would do that. But I just found it surprising because it's like, okay, she's usually pretty good. Wendy's pretty good at sticking to her guns, so it's like, why would she do that at the very end? You know? So, probably something going a lot around in circles with this, but yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. Tell me for this one. Did you agree with Wendy? Did you agree with everybody else? What do you think the purpose of that last shot was? I'm genuinely curious. I really want to know like other people's opinions about this. And again, understand, I liked this episode a lot. I thought it was really funny, and I did get the overall message by it. I'm perplexed by the ending. So I'm gonna have to title this one very carefully so I don't make people think that I like hated the episode at all. But I love the episode. I love the season. I love South Park. And, so I'm curious about this. I'm going to put this one out today. I usually do these once every other day, but, let me know. And, all the usual stuff, blah, blah, blah here at the end. And, but mainly, let me know in the comments. What did you think? So, thanks for listening, guys.